Alright, it's been about 3 days now, and we've got our Mosin bedded up here. We're going to pop the action out of the stock and have a look at everything and see if there's any sort of other filling in we need to do or any other last minute bedding operations, and that way we can get an idea of what else we need to do. That way we move on to final sanding of the stock and final assembly of the rifle itself. The screws ended up torquing down pretty nice, didn't they?
They did. They pulled down good. They lined up with our marks. We put some witness marks on the screws to make sure that they were pulling down all the way. Basically, we dry assembled it with the pillars only between the action and the floor plate. That way we know for sure if the screws were pulling down, and they were pulling down real fine.
Yeah, and you see the witness mark on the actual trigger or guard itself, the magazine assembly. Yeah, we're probably still going to provide just a little steel bed compound in this area for the magazine, but that's just being picky.
Yeah, it'll help.
Could probably do without it, but we're going to go with it.
It'll help fill in some of these cosmetic anomalies where we were routing it out and leave a nice clean line.
Absolutely.
But worked out good. The damming worked good with the clay, modeling clay. Kept anything from seeping in. I mean, you can see that there's nothing on that magazine that needs to be removed other than just a little bit of modeling clay that comes right off. So that worked out nice.
Nice.
We could do this the easy way. I'm sure it would come out in one hit if I just cracked Eric over the head with the stock, but we're going to use the floor and just give it a little light tap. We'll pull it out as straight as possible. You don't want to do too much in the way of torquing it up and down because it's really not intended to go that way. There we go. I could bed it up pretty good. It didn't fill in 100%, but that's not too big a deal. The places that you really wanted it to fill in good, it did. Up around the barrel to receiver junction, you got a nice little bed above in front of that. Filled in real nicely there where we routed all of this area down real low so that there's a good thick section of steel behind that recoil lug. That's going to be your main point of contact, and that's why this screw needs to be pulled down firmly at all times. You can see there's a little skin on top of each one of the pillars. Not a big deal. We can clean that off just with a little X-Acto knife scraper. Any of these other small areas like this, they're truly just cosmetic. They can be filled in. What we'll do is go in here with some acetone and wipe this down to get rid of that release agent, scuff it up just a little bit, and lay some more glass in there. Where it came over the top here, that's not a problem. That right there will dress down real nice and leave a nice clean line along the top edge of the stock. You won't see it because it's where the scope mount's at, but if you were doing a gun without a scope mount, you could do that. Where the brake line is back here, you can see that's about how much we're going to take off. We're going to rasp this down and final sand it to about the level of the top of that glass, actually a little below that. That'll clean up and fill in real nice. This area here is going to get cleaned up. That's of course where the tang goes in for the trigger, goes through. You can see all that crap's going to come out, so don't worry about the way that looks right now. And the same thing inside the magazine well opening in the stock. All this is going to be cleaned up. These sharp edges are going to go away, and it'll be a straight through transition. I'm just going to scuff up a little of these areas where we're going to fill in more or less for the cosmetics, and just going to scratch it here a little bit.
steel bed is some really stout stuff.
Yeah.
And we're not worried about residual steel bed reaching the upper lines of the stock because we're going to do some finish sanding anyway. That'll all straighten out when we do our final sanding.
Yep, should be fine.
And all I'm really going to do is do a good sanding on it, and probably just going to go with a stock filler, maybe 2 or 3 coats of stock filler and then a few coats of oil, and just give it a good hand rubbed oil finish, and that's be good enough for me. And what we'll likely do here at YouTube is we're going to let this sit up for probably the remainder of the week, and I'll be able to, we'll finish up on it by the weekend probably. Definitely want to give this steel bed plenty of time to cure, or else you're wasting your time. What we're doing here is laying in some steel bed, just really more for cosmetic reasons than anything else, to fill the voids in the wood between the surface of the magazine itself and the stock, just to get nice clean lines. That's the nice thing about doing finishing sanding too. It's not going to matter if any of this goops out, because we're going to be doing some final fit with the Dremel and little sanding. Should be a minimal amount of effort though to achieve a good result.
Up to our reference marks again.
Alright, then we just wipe all the goo that's slathered out.
Pretty much, yeah, we'll blend it in, make sure that it fills in all the little cracks and crevices that it needs to, as well as we can get it to. It'll make for a good looking finish.
Alright, so we got everything laid in nice, and we're allowing it to set up. Everything's torqued down. We've wiped away all our excess steel bed from any of the areas it's seeped out of. We should get a nice, good fit here, and probably give it till about Friday or Saturday, or at least 2 or 3 days for all this to set up. and then I'll start doing some final finish sanding, and we'll get this little guy together and see how she shoots. Maybe by this weekend if all goes according to plan. And for those of you that don't know, I've already got a lengthy video series on stock refinishing, so I probably won't showcase stock refinishing, you know, as a whole during this segment, just because I've already got such a detailed series on that. So if you're looking for stock refinishing videos, then check out some of my older ones that describes the process in full detail.